Hello guys, today I will be playing Troll is a Pinning Tower 2. So, oh, come on. Hey Milo. Ow. What? Do you guys see this? What? Is it, yo, this video actually might blow up only because of this. What? Alright. Anyway, what? Okay. Okay. I totally didn't just rage there. Slow. What's his name? What's this guy's name? Spoofs. Wait, can I get past this? Nah! Oh my gosh. Guys, I'm just lagging.
From the pavement. Maybe now that dog will finally start being scared of my fireworks. I balled my fist as I wanted to lay him out, but I couldn't hit a teenager. I drove Gringo to the hospital as he sat silently shaking in my car, quiet despite the terrible pain. The vet told me they'd have to amputate his leg. Gringo rolled home with me in a dog wheelchair for his back legs. The teenager stood right there with more fireworks in hand. Every day for the next 2 weeks, he set them off when me and Gringo walked outside. I gripped my head in horror because Gringo had started shaking and being afraid, something 2 years in Iraq never even did to him. I watched the punk bring a box of fireworks into his shed and knew I had to act. I called Hughes, the bomb diffuser I served with, and that night we were in the shed rigging his fireworks. We walked to his door and saw him through the window throwing darts at a board full of pictures of dogs. We rang and he opened. "Are you here to beg me to stop with the fireworks? Your dog can't take much more." He laughed, but then Hughes held up a Soul firework. He stuck it to the punk's hand before he could reply, and I held up a detonator. "Now walk with us, or your hand goes boom." His face instantly went pale. "You're lying." But me and Hughes dragged him out to his backyard. Gringo was right there, watching. "Now we're gonna take your hand the way you took his foot." His legs began trembling, and he dropped to his knees, and I pressed the detonator. It beeped once, and I laughed. "Now I'll give you a 3-second countdown to prepare before it blows for real." I held my finger inches from the button. 3, he cried. "No, please. I'll do anything." 2, "Please stop." 1, P was running down his leg as Gringo wagged his tail. 0,
No!
I pressed the button. The punk closed his eyes and pressed his hand into the dirt, but nothing happened. "What's going on?" he said through tears. Me and Hughes got in his face. "I wanted you to feel the fear my dog felt, but because I'm nice, I won't actually take one of your limbs, even if you deserve it. But if I see you light another firework, then I will. You got it?" He shook his head like a bobblehead, pale and shaking, with snot running down his nose. I unstrapped the firework and sent him home with his delinquency problem resolved.
Yeah, W story. By the way, guys, the person I was just listening to, it's a short from his YT story. Go check his YouTube channel out. He's also a really good YouTuber. How have I fallen like 15 times? What? How are they? Okay, how do they go so far? So some guy teleported me.
I was in my school library studying for tomorrow's CPR exam when 3 of my classmates burst through the doors. They walked by my table and loudly scoffed. "Oh look, the nerd thinks he's gonna be a doctor." They sat a few tables away and started making lots of noise. And the
God,
librarian
dude.
asked them to please be quiet because she had a heart condition. Loud noises put her at risk. They nodded, but then proceeded to ignore her completely. They knocked books off shelves and blasted music from their phones. And when she walked over, threw paper at her and banged their desks. After one of them slammed his computer. She walked over to him, but as soon as she turned around, he grabbed an air horn from his bag and blasted it in her ear. She gasped, grabbed her chest, and immediately slumped to the floor. The three of them froze and went quiet for the first time. They glanced at each other and whispered, "She's fine. She's just shocked. I hope." Another whispered, "Dude, we're gonna be in so much trouble. We can't let anyone know we did this." That's when they turned and saw me. I was staring at the librarian's face, drooping on one side. I told them, "She's having a heart attack. We need to call 911 right now." But they immediately stepped in my way, blocking my path and telling me she was fine and just needed a minute. I tried to pull out my phone to call anyway, but the biggest one snatched it out of my hand and said, "You're not calling anyone. I'm not having anyone find out what happened." I looked past them at the librarian on the floor and saw foam coming out of her mouth. I screamed, "She needs help," but they just repeated, "She's fine. I'm not going down for this." I scanned the room, looking for anything that could help, and spotted a security camera in the corner. I pointed at it and told them, "Everything you just did is already on camera. They're gonna find out what you did anyway." Their faces dropped, and they bolted out of the library, dropping my phone on the floor as they ran. I grabbed it and dialed 911. I dropped to my knees, doing chest compressions on the librarian, just like the textbook instructed. Paramedics burst in minutes later and took over with a defibrillator. And the next morning, police officers walked into the school and arrested the three kids. I was in my school. I was 400 pounds and waiting for my son to come out of school when his classmate... I was watching the New Year's fireworks exploding. The owner of the mansion smirked and shook my hand, promising he'd give me $100 if I looked at the kitchen drawer, and my mom pointed at me from across the room. "Don't even think about it." That drawer had been locked my whole life, and the key lived on a chain around her neck that she never took off, not even to sleep. My brother dropped to his knees in front of it one afternoon with a paperclip, and she appeared in the doorway behind him without making a sound. "Nice try. You're grounded for a month. We spent our entire lives guessing what was inside. My brother thought it was love letters. My sister thought one of us was adopted, and I thought it was money. When our mom passed away at 80, my brother flew in from across the country, and my sister drove 4 hours. We stood in the kitchen the morning after the funeral, and I held the tiny key in my hand and stared at the drawer. My brother could not stop pacing back and forth across the kitchen floor. Whatever was in that drawer had been worth wearing a key around her neck for 30 years, and we were about to find out why. My brother grabbed my arm. "Wait, what if we don't want to know what's in there?" I hesitated for a second, but then my sister put her hand on my shoulder. "We need to know the truth." My brother stood there for a moment, then nodded. "You're right." They both peeked over my shoulder as I put the key in and opened the drawer. Inside was one tiny plastic trophy with a cheap gold film on it. My sister unfolded the note underneath it and read it out loud. "Mr. Hutchins gave this 4th grade spelling bee trophy to Barb Moskowitz, even though I was the better speller because he never liked me. So I went back that night and took what was mine." We all started laughing because it turned out Mom sure knew how to hold a grudge, but I was disappointed that we didn't find a bunch of money. I looked at the kitchen drawer, and my mom pointed at me from across the room. "Don't even think about it." That drawer had been locked my whole life, and the key lived on a chain around her neck that she never took off, not even to sleep. My brother dropped to his knees in front of it one afternoon with a paperclip, and she appeared in the doorway behind him without making a sound. "Nice try. You're grounded for a month. We spent our entire lives guessing what was inside. My brother thought it was love letters. My sister thought one of us was adopted, and I thought it was money. When our mom passed away at 80, my brother flew in from across the country, and my sister drove 4 hours. We stood in the kitchen the morning after the funeral, and I held the tiny key in my hand and stared at the drawer. My brother could not stop pacing back and forth across the kitchen floor. Whatever was in that drawer had been worth wearing a key around her neck for 30 years, and we were about to find out why. My brother grabbed my arm. "Wait, what if we don't want to know what's in there?" I hesitated for a second, but then my sister put her hand on my shoulder. "We need to know the truth." My brother stood